Podcast on gadgets, the internet, and you. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by two guys. Hey, it's no debate. They're good friends. It's Colby Revenue and Dan Miller. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello, Sean.
Good evening.
Good evening. In the immortal words, I got to quote Dan directly here. It's Sean Timber, motherfucker.
That's right. Yeah,
Get
Apple tried to tell me
excited.
it was sports timber. No.
Just making this stuff up.
No, you can't just make up a new holiday. We got September 1st.
That's right. And what a one it's been. No, it really hasn't. What's new, guys?
I have two potential podcast topics. One I think will actually they're both somewhat related to each other. So I got a new job, or I will be starting in a new job, and consequently will be leaving my current job, and consequently will be losing access to this laptop that I have. So I wanted to do some programming, so I got a new laptop, which is the Framework laptop, the build
Get
it
out of
yourself
town.
Framework laptop. Which has a currently half-broken installation of Linux on it, as you do. But yeah, no, it was pretty cool. It shows up disassembled in this box, but it's disassembled in that you have to click the lid together. I think it comes with the motherboard in the bottom case. And then you put the top on the bottom case with the keyboard. That's the hardest part because the cable that connects the keyboard to the motherboard is not very long. You have to do this little thing. And otherwise, oh no, I guess, or did I have to I guess I had to hook the lid up to the motherboard as well, and then snap that on. And yeah, then you just plug those little cards into the slots, and you're good to go. I did bring it all the way to the cabin with a screw loose, and so somehow that screw did not fall out, and I just never had tightened that screw. So grateful that didn't fall out somehow. And the build quality is pretty good, but you can definitely, it's like not an Apple laptop. I think it's about as close as you could get with something that can be disassembled and is meant to be disassembled. I really like the keyboard, though. I think the keyboard might be a little bit better than the Apple laptop keyboard. It's clunky. It's got a good thud to it,
Nice.
which is pretty satisfying. And that's pretty much it. Otherwise, it kind of worked first shot, which was nice.
What operating system you running on that bad boy?
Oh boy, Sean,
Am I going to regret asking? Yeah.
I'm glad you asked.
It's called Nix OS. It's a weird.
Oh, brother.
It's a weird operating system. Yeah.
When Colby says, "Oh, brother," then I really know you've gone too far this time.
Yeah, I don't know if this was a good idea. But it is fun. It'll be a nice project distraction and allow me to work on some things. But I think that's pretty much it. I haven't really tested the battery life out. It doesn't seem to. It's not as good as an Apple laptop for sure. My guess is 5-6 hours at the most.
Yeah, what is it? AA, AAA? It's not C's, right?
Well, actually, it is cool because I haven't seen. God, when was the last time I saw inside of a laptop? It was probably over 10 years ago when I was working at the college IT department, and things have gotten so much smaller. The battery is it's like a thin piece of paper. It's like an eighth of a deck of cards, maybe 4 across, and that's the battery, which is pretty crazy. The battery is all the way down in the thinnest part of the case too. Yeah, so it was somewhat educational. Yeah. Any framework questions? Sean, would you ever get a framework laptop? So
no.
The cool thing is they claim, and they have done this now twice, that any part can be swapped out. So originally it was just a 1080p monitor, and now they released a 4K monitor, and anyone who's bought a framework laptop can buy the monitor and upgrade the display.
What's really turned me around on I don't want to customize anything. That's why I don't use Windows. That's why I don't use a desktop. I'm just like over it. Maybe I think my iPhone's really spoiled me in that it just always works.
Mhm.
Like my phone's never crashed like ever, not once, which is pretty impressive. The thing is, I've learned trade-in value of Apple products makes up for the replaceability. Because when I can take a laptop that's 3-4 years old and they'll give me half the value back, that's great incentive to upgrade to something newer. And then they recycle it or throw it in the landfill. I don't really care. But to me, when you do that on the phones, you do it on the iPad, you do it on the MacBook. That's to me a better ecosystem than buying individual parts and upgrading it yourself. That's what happened with my last desktop. Was I wanted to upgrade it, but the motherboard was too old and nothing was compatible, so I would have had to have ripped the whole thing apart. So that's kind of. But I do want to say, love the fact that people still tinker with stuff. I think that's super cool. I'm not just saying that. I actually do think that's a neat idea. I'm glad you're doing it. Not for me.
That's fair. Yeah, we'll see how it works out.
Which size laptop did you get?
I got the 13-inch one. The 16-inch one seems compromised. It seems like it's really built for like gamer computer laptop. But the 13 is a nice package.
Nice.
13 is like the perfect size laptop in my opinion, because I have a 16-inch MacBook for work and that thing feels like a behemoth. It's one of the old Intel ones. Feels like a behemoth.
Yeah,
I love the 13-inch.
Yeah.
Nice.
And related to this, to the new job at least, is as part of the new job, I get a $1,000 home office budget. And I do not know what to spend it on because I have all of the things you would need for a home office typically. I have one nice monitor. I guess I could get another one. I have a standing desk that moves up and down. I have a nice office chair. I have a cool microphone. I have a cool keyboard. So does anyone have any ideas on
how's your
what I can
camera?
spend it? The camera is just the built-in one, and you might be able to see it's not that great.
That could be pretty sweet.
So I was thinking that but then you read all these articles about the best webcams. Someone's like, well, the best webcam's a DSLR, and that is more than $1,000.
Yeah.
But my dad gave me a somewhat old, but within the last 10 years DSLR that has been sitting downstairs and I have done nothing with. So I was like, well, I could probably just rig that up. Maybe I would need to buy a lens, and then I don't know how that would go. Be like, so I bought this $300 lens, and I'm using that for my home office. No, you don't understand. But that is an idea.
Well, and there are, especially now, some really good webcams with incredible optics. They're really putting good lenses in these things now. So I would definitely. I don't, because I'm too cheap. It's not my. If it weren't my money I was spending, I think this one I'm using now, I only got a year or two ago. I finally upgraded from my zillion-year-old one. I think this one was like in that 99, 129 range. I think it looks really good. But if you go up to that 250, pushing 300 range, there's some really, really great options.
Yeah.
The other thing I might ask, Dan, is I love taking calls on speakerphone. I hate wearing headphones while I work. Would you potentially purchase a speakerphone? A nice speaker to get. No, come on.
Like a Cisco speakerphone.
Actually, Microsoft makes one that is for Teams. That's awesome. I love it. It's a little one. It's USB-C. It's got the microphone in it. It's got the speakers in it. It's got a mute button on it. It's awesome. It's maybe one of my favorite office gadgets. Now, of course, the whole office, I'm the loudest man alive, as you two know. So really, even with my door closed, everyone hears everything, but I do it anyway.
Probably not, given that I co-work from home. But I don't know. I mean, I've never tried it. It has literally never occurred to me to take any sort of call without headphones in. I guess I could try it.
Do you know
right now? I'm just kidding.
Do you know what communication software your new company uses primarily?
No. I'm
Okay.
going to guess Slack.
Okay. I was going to say, I know Teams, maybe others. You can Teams in VR. You should expense a headset, a Quest headset, and then you can like take all your meetings in virtual reality.
Now that's a good idea. When we did that one meeting, I was actually pretty sold. If some company that I joined gave me a headset, I would use it for like an hour-long meeting. I would totally use it. If it's like a brainstorming session, absolutely. So yeah, that's interesting. That we'll
Listen,
wait and see.
I don't think anyone's better on earth than me at buying useless gadgets you don't need. So anytime, Dan, you have money to burn, just ask. I'm happy to help.
Yeah.
You can get like books. You got any?
Oh, sure.
So I
hip
was wondering,
library
where is the line for home office drawn? So one thing I was thinking is like, well, I could get more coffee making supplies. Does that count as home office? So that's the only other thought I've had.
You could get a espresso maker or something if we're throwing around $1,000.
Exactly.
New grinder, espresso maker.
And yes.
Well, it's wellness, right? I mean, companies are all about employee wellness now. Like, could you get a massage?
Well, there is a separate wellness thing that is some number of dollars per month and does not accumulate. So that one's trickier to use for big ticket items. Yeah. So webcam, coffee, VR headset.
Oh, you know what you could do? You should expense what these fancy offices now with all the open workspace that everyone hates. They have those like soundproof booths where you can go in and work. You could take your speakerphone calls, get one installed in your house.
Yeah,
and then you could just go in there and take your calls, and you'd be a nice coworker in your home.
Did I tell you about the last WeWork that I was at my last company? They had installed these custom built. I think they appeared to be custom built. There's no branding on them. Soundproof booths with these little. The thing I'll always remember is on the top they had these like desktop PC case fans. So like, so you didn't die of carbon dioxide poisoning or whatever. And a couple days in, they all got wrapped in caution tape because they were like filled with asbestos or something like that. I forget what it was. They were like actually toxic. They were uninhabitable. And then they just sat there for months, and then they had to rebuild them with some other material or something. It was the whole debacle.
That's terrible.
I've got to stop pitching ideas. I've got all night. How's your internet in your backyard?
Yeah, so this was another thing I thought of. My internet is limited by my ability to structurally affect my walls. What I need to do is install the internet this way on the ceiling, because all of the cables are on this side and all the Wi-Fi is pointing this way. And so if you're on the far side of the house, it's not great. So I was like, well, could you wire a room for Ethernet and use that as your home office budget? And no one has to know that actually this home was already wired for Ethernet. I'm just getting someone to run it through the ceiling and put it over there.
I like that idea. That's a winner.
Yeah. It's probably more than $1,000 if I had to guess.
You go a little over budget. What are they going to do? You know?
Yeah. But okay, that's another good idea. Thank you.
Well, and if anyone out there has any ideas, you can email us, don'tpanicshow@gmail.com. It does work. Speaking of our email, guys, I did want to make sure we didn't get through tonight's episode without mentioning one of our rare listener emails. This is great. I want to thank Justin from Ohio, who took the time to email us. I'm going to read some of his email here. Hi, Sean, Colby, and Dan. First, I want to say I've been listening for years now, thanks to an ad in Overcast. I ran those 7 years ago, if you can believe it. You are right alongside the Accidental Tech podcast in my queue. So thanks for all the content, and hello from Ohio. On to why I'm reaching out. I'm a network engineer, and I frequently enjoy listening to you even when you're talking about networking. However, in the last episode when discussing hackers, Dan mentions that the whole risk thing didn't pan out. Wanted to let you know ARM is a RISC architecture CPU. It literally stands for Advanced RISC Machine. So all of your phone and any of your M series Apple computers are RISC. Have a great long weekend, Justin. Justin, thank you for writing in. Dan, please apologize to Justin.
The publication regrets the error. Is that what it says? No, it's a really good point. I forgot that. I don't remember what I was thinking of, but I was thinking of something else. Another one of those acronyms for CPUs that never panned out. But yeah, ARM is totally a RISC instruction set. So my bad.
I had no idea. I never considered. I guess I always assumed that ARM stood for something, and it didn't matter to me. So I learned what ARM stood for.
It shouldn't be legal to use an acronym in an acronym. It can't be an advanced RISC machine. No, you can't. That should be wrong.
And what does RISC stand for again?
Oh no!
Reduced instruction set. Is that right?
We need Justin. Reduced instruction set computer.
Nice.
So it's an advanced reduced instruction set.
Colby, I do believe we took a class where this was discussed. I think it was senior year.
Proud alumni.
It's possible I had already checked out.
Well, anyway, thank you, Justin, for being a fan. We appreciate it. If any other listener out there wants to send us an email, we will read it. don'tpanicshow@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts.
Speaking of RISC instruction sets, the Apple event.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I teed you right up, Sean.
Dan, it's a pretty low risk event. Let's be honest. When Apple announces things, they're probably going to be hits. That's right. We had an Apple announcement today. Our usual September, focused around watches, phones, and AirPods. Guys, any particular place you want to start?
Chronological order.
I believe watches were first.
Yeah.
Watches are first. We've got two new watches, Apple Watch Series 10. One of these days, I would love for Apple to say, and we made it thicker. But no, of course, they made it thinner. Along with a larger wide-angle OLED display. It's up to 40% brighter when viewed at an angle.
And they made it bigger.
Yes, it's the biggest display. It's even bigger than the Ultra. In addition, it has a built-in depth and water temperature sensor. It's also capable of detecting signs of sleep apnea by measuring breathing disturbances while you're asleep, which is actually a pretty big deal. It comes in black for the first time with additional rose gold silver options. It is available on September 20th, starting at $399.
And they switched the stainless steel to titanium, so no more stainless steel.
No, it's pretty much all titanium up and down the lineup.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I wonder. And the titanium has the carbon neutral little stamp. One interesting thing I noticed. I have only watched like half of this event. I was way too busy today. But cruising through the website now, when you go to buy stuff, they have like little badges now. So they have this green leaf circle thing, which is like, this is a carbon neutral product, or this is the carbon neutral option in this like set of things you can pick. And then they have the Apple Intelligence Siri globe on like, this is a thing that supports Apple Intelligence, which is interesting because now all of the new phones support it. So I guess it's just don't buy an old phone.
Basically.
That I had not seen that before. That's a new Apple e-commerce technology.
I will say the Series 10 had maybe my most reaction of the day. You can now play audio like music and podcasts right out of the speaker on your watch. Congratulations, you're now the most annoying person on planet Earth.
But here's the thing: your phone can probably play audio louder. So, and anyone
that's true. I don't know how distracting. That's true. Well, that was the whole thing. They're like, and now you can listen on your watch for when you forget your AirPods. And it's like, when would I ever do that? But I guess more power to them.
I might do it when I'm walking around the house and no one's home and I'm just doing stuff. Sometimes I play a podcast from my phone when I do it that way. But then I always have to put AirPods in before I go outside.
Right. Right. I'm constantly wearing them in the house.
Yeah,
And we'll talk about some AirPods updates.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else on 10, we can go over to Watch Ultra 2. Again, in a new black titanium option that I'm going to be honest, looks sick. I am not a big like survivalist industrial look. Oh boy, does it look good in the black. And it's got some new watch bands. And that's kind of really the only update.
Otherwise, it's the same watch.
It is.
Yeah, I wish I had the need for one of these things because it looks really cool, but I don't.
Yep. Unfortunate.
And and the new Apple Watch gets some of there was a lot of cannibalization that happened in this event in particular because the Series 10 Apple Watch gets some of the water features that the Ultra has, like depth sensing and stuff. And they didn't say that it could support the diving apps like the other one does, but I don't see why not. If you know your depth, I think you can do all the calculations. And so why get an Apple Watch Ultra now is like if you want a slightly smaller watch, which is a weird thing to say, if you don't want to be able to view it from any angle because the screen is flat and not curved, and the battery life lasts way longer, but that's like pretty much the only thing now.
Can it go deeper?
Yes, I was about to say they have the new scuba stuff that they talked about. The 10 goes to 6 meters. The Ultra 2 will go to 40 meters.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
The Ultra 2 still has the dual frequency, more accurate GPS.
Okay.
And it has longer battery life. They quote 18 hours on the 10, 36 hours on the Ultra 2. But that's kind of the only difference.
Yeah. Interesting. Hey, the Apple Watch Ultra's its display is slightly brighter, Sean.
Oh no. Slightly brighter, but it has a narrow angle OLED. And that just won't work. So there are your watch announcements. I will say, Colby, very briefly, my mother unfortunately dropped her watch and cracked the screen on it.
Been there.
And she felt so bad. Like she was going to cry. Like she felt so bad. And I told her the story of what you did with your very first Apple Watch, which we talked about on the show way back, breaking it on the first day you got it. And I said, listen, it could have been worse. And you made her feel a little bit better. So.
Yep. That's when I started getting Apple Care for my watch. Haven't broken it again since, but
I was about to say, only matters if you use it. All right, let's talk some headphones here. A little audio. Let's start with the Max, AirPod Maxes. Haven't been updating in quite a while. They now have USB-C and will come in new color options, including Midnight, Starlight, Blue, Orange, and Purple. Same price, $549, available on September 20th. And that's that. Regular AirPods 4, interesting. I actually want to talk about this a lot because it's fascinating to me, this sort of strategy. So this is theoretically the base level of AirPods without the little rubber ring on it. Traditionally, the difference has always been the regular AirPods did not have noise cancellation. You needed that rubber ring to do the active noise cancellation. Well, that's not true anymore. There'll still be an entry-level model called AirPods 4, but now a higher-end model called AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation. Very catchy name. It will include active noise cancellation. It'll bring all those same features from the Pros: transparency mode, adaptive audio, conversational awareness, etc. Apple is also adding the previously Pro-only Force sensor, where you can squeeze the stem and swipe on it. The case also adds USB-C charging and the speaker on it to assist with Find My and wireless charging as well. So not a massive difference between the 4 with noise cancellation and the Pro. We'll talk about the new Pro 2 in a second. But guys, what do you think of this AirPods 4 doing noise cancellation without the I just keep calling it rubber ring. I don't even know if it has an official name.
The ear tips.
Ear tips. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, again, this is another interesting cannibalization moment. I hate the ear tips. I use them because the AirPods Pro are so good. And if we can go back to the AirPods Max for a second, because they have adaptive transparency and a bunch of other features that the AirPods Max, my preferred headphone, do not have, which is why I'm upset, though I didn't get a chance to jump in fast enough, that they didn't fucking update the AirPods Max at all. And I see people wearing them all the time. You walk on an airplane, tons of people are wearing AirPod Maxes. They're wearing them on the street. They're super popular. And Apple's just like, well, no, it's going to be whatever, $650 for forever. And we're never going to add any of the new features that the AirPods Pro have had for years, 3 years, 4 years. Maybe it's only 2 years, but still, it's like, so, but anyways, so it's interesting to see how the noise cancellation works. When my AirPods Pro die, I'll probably get one of these because I find them much more comfortable and easy to use and easy to clean. And if the noise cancellation is good enough for, like, you know, riding the bus or whatever, that's all I need.
Wow. Yeah, I've been in AirPods limbo for a while, where I like lost my new AirPods, and then, you know, I've been using hand me down, like, semi broken AirPods that were Laura's, that, like, they work as long as you don't put them in transparency mode. In transparency mode, they make an insane buzzing sound in your ear, which is not ideal. But, like, otherwise, they're mostly fine. But
if those are still in warranty, they might replace them.
Ooh, I don't know if they are.
Because I had that same issue and they replaced them, but they were still in warranty.
Oh yeah, was that old manufacturing issue? Because mine got replaced for those as well.
That could solve my problem.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And the price point levels are also really interesting because the regular AirPods 4 are $129. If you add active noise cancellation, that takes it to $179. And then you go to the Pro, and that's $249. So you got quite a cost range there. And I'm curious if there's it sounds stupid, is there a hardware difference between the standard and adding the noise cancellation, or is that just software? Because they basically are presenting them as looking identical. They have the same case.
No, they don't have the same case. This is the one difference. The one with noise cancellation has a wireless charging case, and it has Find My, so it can chirp when you lose your AirPods. Chirp, chirp.
There you go. Fair enough.
But I don't know if they have a hardware difference beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. The active noise cancellation works great on the Pros. I agree with you, Dan. I think it's a try it out kind of thing. I was never a ear tips guy. And since I got my Pros, I wouldn't say I love it, but I've gotten pretty comfortable, and I wonder going back how well it'll work.
It does say if you go to, like, the Apple AirPods Compare website, it does, like, the Max and the Pros say up to 2x more active noise cancellation, and then the regular ones just say active noise cancellation. So it does seem like it won't work as well.
It's interesting. You also get a little more battery life on the Pros. Not a lot, like an extra hour, but that counts for something.
And hey, if you get AirPods Max, you get this amazing smart case. And who doesn't want that? Another thing they need to update.
The one other thing I want to point out, AirPods Pro didn't get any hardware updates, but did get an interesting new feature that'll be exclusive to the Pros. Hearing health updates. There's 3 of them. First, there is hearing testing. So it will actually run a hearing test. It takes about 5 minutes, and you'll basically, it's like if you've ever had a professional hearing test before. They'll just play different tones at different frequencies and different volumes, see what you can hear and not hear, and then they'll chart it out and put it in your Apple Health. There's also going to be automatic hearing protection mode that'll automatically be turned on to reduce noise in loud environments like concerts and at your job potentially. And then the last thing, this is pretty darn big. They're going to get FDA clearance for them to be hearing aids, over-the-counter hearing aids. They're going to boost specific sounds in real time, such as speech and other environmental noises. Because it'll be FDA cleared, theoretically, health insurances will pay for it for those who need it, and be an affordable option for over-the-counter hearing aids. So a big medical update for the pros.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm interested to take the hearing test. Maybe I have hearing loss.
But what was the statistic they threw up? Was something like 80% of Americans don't have their hearing tested. It was a crazy.
I was just
Am I
listening to it
mixing?
before this. It was like 70% of people who have hearing loss don't have any compensating device at all.
Yes. Which is crazy.
Another statistic, though. Yeah.
I mean, hearing aids up until, I don't know how many, 3-4 years ago, something like that, you couldn't buy them over the counter. You needed a prescription. And now that they're available over the counter, it's been a growing market, but they're still very expensive. And boy, I just think about how many hearing challenged Americans probably have an iPhone. I mean, it's got to be a huge crossover. And for such an approachable, easy to set up, easy to obtain, relatively cost affordable device, I mean, I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah. So I think I'm curious to see what the uptick will be on that, assuming FDA clearance. Any other thoughts on the audio devices here, guys, before we move on to the big boys, the cellular telephones?
Just update the AirPods Max for real. Come on.
Come on.
Well, it's like, whatever happened to Beats?
Well, they still
Has
release
Beats had
new
anything
Beats
new?
things.
Do they still have new Beats?
They do still have new Beats. I didn't find those very comfortable when I tried them, whatever that was, 7-8 years ago. The Beats did release iPhone cases today. Did you see that?
I did not. What's new with those?
Well, they look kind of like the regular clear case, but it supports all the new iPhone features.
I didn't realize. Okay, I saw this, but I didn't realize they were Beats branded. That's weird. What's so Beats about them?
They didn't appear to be Beats in any way.
They don't even have like a Beats logo on them or anything.
No.
Oh, there's a Beats logo on the inside, and then there's it says Beats on the side of it.
Oh, a little B.
It's very subtle.
Well, look at that.
That's funny.
They're nice looking cases.
Different colors, I guess. I like the purple.
Yeah, the purple's nice. I like the Summit Stone.
Summit Stone.
But the question is, what are you going to put in that case? How about a brand new iPhone 16? It's here. I'm going to go through a bunch of the different updates, all kinds of refinements, new A18 chip, increased battery life. The action button, previously only on the Pro, is now coming to the 16. They've added satellite messaging, satellite text messaging, assuming your provider supports that. Wi-Fi 7, improved thermal design. They have updated the cameras. They're better than they were before. They're now vertical. And then the 6.1 inch screen and 6.7 on the Plus have more brightness, QI2 wireless charging. But I think maybe the most interesting thing is the camera control button. It is a new physical button on the side, sits flush with the case, and allows swipe and tap gestures for camera control to both take the pictures but also interact with the camera app and theoretically other apps as well. which was pretty neat. I think it will come in 5 colors: pink, teal, blue, plus white, and whatever the dark one, gray, starting at $7.99, available on the 20th.
So another example of cannibalization, like I saw a bunch of people online posting like, okay, what's going to be in the Pro phone then? Because the Pro phone has typically always, I don't know if always had a physical difference, whether it's another camera, which I guess it has one other camera, but it's always had that, and or like an action button or the dynamic island. Or did they move the Pro to USB-C first? No, I don't think so. I think that was all at the same
Yeah, I
time.
think they did all at once.
But it's always had something, but it hasn't always had a faster processor. In fact, for a long time it didn't. It was just a hardware difference. And now it's like, okay, I guess it's the opposite now. Now the phone is basically exactly the same and there's a faster processor, and that's the Pro phone. Which yeah. So anyways, that was my reaction. The regular iPhone has more fun colors and it's cheaper. And so like, and which camera does it not have? Is it the close up, or is the wide angle lens that the regular phone doesn't have?
Yeah, the 16 has the 48 megapixel main and a new ultra wide. This one, the Pro, has a 48 megapixel fusion camera, 48 megapixel ultra wide, and 12 megapixel telephoto.
Right, so you get the telephoto lens on the new one, and you get, I guess, the ProMotion display, which is something I noticed, and I probably couldn't live without anymore. But yeah, I think at some point I'm going to get off the iPhone upgrade program train, and I'm going to wait until, a new regular iPhone is better than my iPhone Pro, and then I'm going to switch back if this is how it goes. But anyways, they look great.
Other than that, they're great.
No, I think they are great. That's their problem. Yeah. Their problem is they're so good. Like,
yeah, I think a 2-year upgrade cycle makes more sense now.
Yeah.
Even stretching to 3, they're just not blowing it out year over year. I agree with you. I will just quickly mention, as you said, Dan, the only real difference between the Pro lineup and the regular 16s is the A18 Pro chip, which is faster, cool. It does have the third camera. Annoyingly, still in that triangle lineup. I was hoping they would go 3 vertical, because I think that bump out's just too big. But that's just me. 4K video at 120 frames per second. Apparently, with this phone, even you could make a music video with The Weeknd. Improved microphones. They say great battery life. And yeah, you're right. That's basically your. And then the colors, which you have black, gray, lighter gray, or brown gray.
I guess the Pro phones are also slightly lighter. No. Well, they're made out of titanium and they're not lighter because they're bigger.
Yes. But you do get more screen this time. 6.3 and 6.9, the biggest screens they've ever put on a phone.
Yeah, which I'm also not thrilled about. Like, it's already too big.
Bigger is better. Bigger is better. What about you, Colby? What do you think of these phones here?
I thought it was a boring event. I think the camera button is cool. I'll probably use that.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that at all. Yeah.
But like the Pro section of these events, it was like all like making movies. It's like, I don't do that. I just actually I did have a thought as I was watching the thing. It reminded me of like back in the day when I was a film major or whatever, and I was actually making movies, and I had this like crappy like camcorder thing that I used in college. I was like, wow, imagine if this was if this existed when we were young whippersnappers, whatever. Would have been wild. But alas, missed the boat on that one. Born before our time. But Yeah, I think the camera button's kind of cool. I didn't feel like wildly jazzed about anything that was happening.
And will the regular phones have the camera button next year?
The regular phones do this year.
Oh, right. God.
The 16s
right.
have them. Yeah. That's, I mean, it's, you're totally right. I mean, the difference is like you can get this again if you want it a little bit bigger, but really it's like, are you shooting a major cinematic film? Get the Pro. If you're a regular human being, you can do fine with the 16.
The telephoto is nice to have.
It is. I use it all the time. Is the telephoto more telephoto?
It is now more telephoto, and now the real victim here is the Pro Max, who has absolutely no differentiating features except it's humongous.
Except the obvious one. Well, honestly, though, like maybe that's like the point. Is just that it's.
I prefer it that way because I definitely don't want a humongous one.
Right, and I prefer to have the smaller one with the extra stuff.
Dan, it was funny because you mentioned like, oh, you see people all the time with the Max headphones. I can't think if I've ever seen anybody in the last couple of years with like a Max phone.
Oh, Max phone?
Yeah, like the giant phone. Like I feel like that was a trend for a little while, like I don't know, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. And I feel like nobody gets the giant phone anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. Even the Android people don't seem to have giant phones anymore.
Or they're all just humongous.
Yeah, exactly. Our hands are getting smaller.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really look. I don't really notice, but I can't say that I've seen one either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, guys, that's basically the whole announcement in a nutshell. Unfortunate, it's kind of sad to say, but I think the most exciting things that came out of this for me were AirPod hearing aids. So, take from that what you will.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great to know that once my hearing starts to go, I'm set.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it'll be caused by using your AirPods too loudly, but, at least they'll help you out.
Totally. Putting out the fire that they started.
Was that really? Oh, wait. There was one thing we missed, which was you take the camera and it tells you what you're taking a photo of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe the vaguest and least defined part of the entire announcement, because they did not explain at all how that works. But in theory, it's cool.
I didn't get to that part of it of the video, so I don't know what they actually announced there.
Yeah, no, it was literally, and you've seen Google's promise they can do it. I mean, it's not a new idea. You point it at a dog and it tells you what kind of dog it is, and you point at a restaurant and the menu comes up, and you point it at a poster for a concert and it offers to put it in your calendar. Like, it's not anything new. The question I had, he said in the demo, he's like, oh, we use on-device intelligence to figure it out, and we know because the poster has the time and date of the concert, so we can put it in there. And then he says, also your gateway to third-party models, which is what they talked about back at WWDC, using visual intelligence to search Google or to take a picture and share it with ChatGPT. That's very interesting to me. Because my question was, how is Google searching this information? I guess Apple Maps could pull some of that restaurant information, but they don't have a search engine. So I'm very curious how they're powering this from a search perspective. It's Bing. It's secretly Bing. What was that? That line from the big lawsuit where famously there was no amount of money on earth they could have paid Apple to use Bing, which is very funny to me.
Brutal.
But in theory, it's great. I love. I think that's part of having that camera button is quick access to be able to do different things with the camera. And so. If that's the intelligent part for me is, does it know I'm pointing it at Japanese characters and it knows I want it translated? Like if it can be that intuitive, it knows I'm at a restaurant. So it might, like if it can really be that contextual, that's awesome. That would be great.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I look forward to trying it. And they also announced when the new software updates are being released. Is that right?
Yes. First of all, they did not announce this is called Visual Intelligence. They did not announce when that would specifically debut.
Right.
But in terms of when did they say? It's not in the specific recap article I'm reading. Let me see if I can find out.
The
Um,
whatever iOS 18 is September something, and iOS 18.1 is
Yes.
October something. It says 18.1
Apple
18.1
Intelligence.
will
There's
be
a whole
available in
page.
October.
Let me see if it'll say when it is coming. It just says this fall. Coming in beta this fall.
iOS 18 will launch next week. There we go.
Yes,
September
9/16.
16th. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Apple Intelligence is coming in beta this fall. There's no specific
I thought they
date
said
that I
October.
see. Did they? That wouldn't surprise me.
Let me see. This is riveting.
Yeah,
Radio.
October here we go. Thank you, Google. Apple Intelligence is coming in October to the US solely with support in English in December for Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, and the UK, and in 2025 for other languages. And as we've mentioned before, Intelligence will be available on iPhone 15 Pro, iPhone 15 Pro Max, iPad Pro, iPad Air, MacBook Air, and MacBook Pro, iMac, Mac Mini, Mac Studio, all of which need M1 or later. So fun.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. Gentlemen, anything else you would like to say that you're thinking in those minds of yours?
What'd you buy, Sean?
I just got my new phone. We talked about this. I'm behind. But you know what? Honestly, I'm not mad. What am I missing? Like, it's not.
See, you're not interested in the Apple Intelligence stuff at all.
No, I have a 15 Pro. So that's why I bought this phone. I'm not joking. I started plotting my upgrade right after WWDC because I was like, and it just happened to take a long time to get it through with the company and all that. But that was always my plan. By the time it came out, I wanted a phone it was compatible with. So I'm covered.
Okay.
If I weren't, I would consider an upgrade because to me, I think that is a feature worth getting, up to a level that supports it. I think it could be at least fun, if not useful. But no, other than that, I still have no interest in owning an Apple Watch. I'm thrilled I don't own one. I don't want one. My AirPods work great. My Mac is working great. I love my Apple products. It's great. So I don't know if you guys are up for any upgrades.
I mean, I'll probably continue down the upgrade treadmill that I've been on for so many years.
Yeah, I think this will be my last year on the upgrade treadmill. Our Apple Watches have been dying, and they're also the way that we access our house. So I have been feeling the pain there. But yeah, no new AirPods for me. When my regular AirPods die, which I use for most of the time, actually, I will like I said, I will replace them, but they're not dead yet, but they'll die eventually.
Well, like I said, if anyone out there is looking to upgrade, trade-in values are really good right now.
The trade-in value for this watch is $25.
Well, not for not for everything. But I did the math in so when I bought this new phone and I was setting up the plan, the upgrade plan was an option, and I did the math in my head, and based on trade-in value, you can upgrade every like 18 months. Just using the trade value to pay off the previous phone, and then you go to the next phone. So you don't necessarily need a special plan anymore. So
yes, the advantage of the trade-in plan is you get Apple Care with it.
Right.
But otherwise, yeah, you're right.
Well, if we're on topics, guys, I do have to ask, we won't get into the details. Have you watched Johnny Mnemonic yet?
No, but I have a flight coming up tomorrow.
Excellent.
I totally forgot. So
I watched it, and boy, you gentlemen are in for a treat. This thing is bonkers. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited to talk about it. I of course do have to talk about it. Is Sean Tember. Mark your calendars. It is Sean Tember. It's happening over on Up for Debate at upfordebate.tv. We've already published our first episode of the month, previewing what we have coming up. And guys, would it shock you to learn Matt threw me a curveball for our first official Sean Tember episode? He messaged me right before, like an hour before. He said, "Oh, Sean, I'm so sorry. I forgot. I have my fantasy football draft tonight." And I'm like, "Well, okay. It's kind of not great that you forgot that." He goes, "Well, I'll just do it while we're doing the show." God bless you, Matt. That's very sweet of you to say, but no. So instead, we did an audible in football terms, and the whole episode was Matt and I co-drafting his team live on the show, and it was a blast. I won't spoil who we drafted or how we ended up, but it was a lot of fun. If you're a football fan or just interested in fantasy and how that works, I recommend checking out that episode. It was great. And then next week we will be talking tea. And I've already bought the tea. I've got my carafes. We'll be taping that this week. So it's a great one. You should check it out wherever you get podcasts.
A fantasy football draft with money involved, monetary earnings? Do you get a cut of any such earnings?
You know, the fool I'm just such a nice, naive guy. I didn't even ask. I was willing to give my services for free. Now, you might learn at the end, we might have drafted a very bad team. So maybe my help. And I will say we had, for the first time on the show, my mother, who is a huge fantasy football fan, was watching the live stream and texting me with her opinions throughout the show. So she got her say in as well. So it really was a nice time. I recommend the video version. We have the draft board up. You can see all the players as they're coming and going. It's a great one. So definitely check that out. But that's going to do it for us. Don'tPanic.io is our website. You guys should check it out. All the audio and video of the episodes are there. And of course, subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Just look for Don't Panic. We're on all the major platforms. And of course, you can get a hold of us, just like Justin. Don'tPanicShow@gmail.com. Shoot us a note. We will read it. Or at least I'll read it and put it in the Slack for these guys to read. And we would love for you to do that. But we're going to end it here. So on behalf of Colby and Dan, I'm Sean. We appreciate you guys being here. We're going to see you next time for another great episode of Don't Panic.